real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward. Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 109 with myself, Trevor Cowley. As always, Kilo G.
What's up, everybody?
Guys, today we want to talk about a topic. Am I talking too loud, bruh? I see you turn that dial down, dude. Just tell me how it is. Guys, today we want to talk about a topic in regards to setting goals. I know we did that earlier in the year, right around, January 1st, because it is important to set goals. Obviously, we're roughly halfway into the year, so I'm sure by the time this episode drops, it'll be the end of June, so half the year's come and gone.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about the importance of really setting goals outside of your current self. I think one of the big issues that I see when people set goals is they set goals based upon the limiting beliefs that they have about themselves, right? So if somebody can, let's say, run a mile and they wanted to challenge themselves, they may say, I'm going to try to run 2, or 5, when we already know humans can run 50 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles. So are you really setting goals that make your current self scared, I guess is maybe the right way to put it.
Right.
And I think most of you have done a good job at one point or another to get uncomfortable, whether it's transitioning to a new job to, hit a new income level, whether it's transitioning from a job to trying to start your own business, that's uncomfortable. So I think the majority of people listening have got uncomfortable once or twice in a major way, but they stop getting uncomfortable, right? Once their day-to-day, what used to feel uncomfortable is now their new normal, they just rest in that. And again, they're maybe celebrating the old win of getting uncomfortable one time, but the idea is to continue to push yourself, continue to find the next level of what you're able to do as a human being just in general. And one of the best ways to do that is through moving your body, exercising, whatever it is, because that's going to create a level of discipline that will serve you in business. There's going to definitely be times in business where you're going to want to quit and give up. You're going to want to walk away from it all, because those times, those difficult times in business are more often than just the times of celebration and high-fiving each other that you hit a new level, right? Struggle is more real in terms of entrepreneurship than success is. And we have to do a better job about putting ourselves in a situation to be successful in business. And one of the best ways to do that is by challenging yourself on all fronts, not just the entrepreneurship side where you just go start a business. Yeah, that's challenging. That's cool. But what are you doing outside of the business as well to challenge yourself to make you a better operator, a more disciplined owner of a business, right?
Well, if I can be completely real with you and everybody listening, dude, there's a huge difference in this year versus the last couple years in me personally. And it's because I didn't become as detailed with my goals and I didn't become as large with my goals to push myself. Dude, for some reason, the year just kind of got away from me and there's just all these little different obstacles and excuses that you buy into. But the year previously, I was a lot more detailed with my goals and I had them all written out. This year, I was like, man, I just want to get really organized in my life and in the company, right? And as you know, read books like Traction and all these things to do that stuff, right? So I'm working towards something, but I didn't write anything down this year, which was super weird for me because the 2 years before that, it was super effective. I hit almost every goal that I put on paper and I crushed every single goal. And nothing feels better than when you do create a challenge for yourself and you fucking finish it.
That's it. That's self-worth and that's character. That's grit. People wonder, how do we get these traits? I don't know, by setting a fucking massive goal that scares the shit out of you.
All right.
And then you honor that and follow through with it. So when you accomplish that, you just accomplished something that once scared you, right? What are you doing to make, let's say, for instance, something that's difficult today your new normal? right? Let's say, for instance, it's difficult for somebody to go run a mile right now. Like they would be wheezing and that would be a struggle for them. Well, if you actually wanted to challenge yourself, maybe say, you know what, I'm going to run a mile every single day for the next 30 days. And I would guarantee you in 30 days, that mile is going to be, again, easy.
Right.
That's what used to be hard is you're now normal, is you're now easy.
Right.
And I think we all need to do a better job of continuing to push ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. The reason why I wanted to try to become a pilot. Again, that's something completely outside of the normal,
right?
And that scares the shit out of me because I don't like heights, right? That's just I'm not. Kel's been to Disneyland with me, you know. We did the Tower of Terror shit. That was
fun.
Bunk as hell.
Yeah, I didn't even watch the ride. I just watched you. It was awesome.
That was bullshit, dude. It screwed up my whole day. That was the first ride we got on, and when you're with the homies, you know, and your homies' kids. And their homies' kids, Kel's kids are calling me out and shit that I don't want to ride a ride. I'm like, look, it's just not fun for me. It's like I get this weird feeling, you know? And so
Tower of Terror wasn't a good ride for Trev. He didn't like that one.
None of them are, bro. The only ride I like to ride at Disneyland is the bench and the churro line or some shit like that. But again, heights aren't my thing. You know, spinning, twirling, that's not my thing. So becoming a pilot was something that was definitely a very, very scary thought, right? I made sure that, you know, I had my will and shit in place because I really, after the third or fourth time going up, I figured, you know, I might die during this shit. And that's still a possibility, right? But that's something that's scaring me. But at the same time, I'm becoming a better individual for facing that head on and just going through it and putting my head down, right? And so when you're talking about, you know, just today we did a Instagram story like, what's your ideal income? And there's a lot of average answers, right? Because all they're doing is thinking with their current state of thinking, their current limitations. They think, you know, $8,000 a month is good or $10,000 a month is good. That would be ideal, right? That just shows me that a lot of people are really still thinking very average and very, very small because they're thinking based upon the situation that they're in today, not really what they want to accomplish. Right. So,
which we've done too.
Of course we've done.
I mean, how many? That might be a large goal to somebody until they get close to that goal, but it is a very, very achievable goal. So I totally see what you're saying. And so do they need to hit that before that they can really raise those goals, or can they go bigger right now, right? Like going back, I wish I would have gone bigger. Right? I mean, where would I be today if I would have been pushing myself without those limitations for bigger goals back then, 15 years ago when we started business? Well,
that's the idea, is your goals should always continue to evolve and adjust, right? Yeah. And I think if somebody's goal was to start a business and they started a business, are they, again, still celebrating that win that they are now an entrepreneur that makes $80,000 a year or $150,000 a year? Yeah. Really ask yourself, what are you doing to challenge yourself? If business is no longer a challenge and you're making $150,000 a year there, that's great. If you're happy with that income, cool. Be happy with that income. But maybe you could get uncomfortable and bring somebody up as a leader in your organization, and you can get out there and bring more business into your organization. That might be uncomfortable to you. Yeah. To trust somebody else to operate your business while you go do something else, of course that's going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
But are you giving it an honest effort? Our goal is to be out of our day-to-day operations within the next 6 months so that we can start focusing more on real business owners, have events, masterminds, and give you guys our time, right? We get a bunch of messages. The reason why we say no is because we would be doing people a disservice if we kind of just did it right now. It would be half-ass effort because our main thing right now is our main thing, and we're going to keep it our main thing until we have somebody operating it that we feel confident can operate it on a day-to-day basis and not crash the car, so to speak, right?
And we've got people stepping up, but it's just not there yet.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's definitely a process. So
there is a transition, but the point that I'm trying to make is if you're feeling low right now as an entrepreneur, which I've been there, go through ups and downs all the time. Me and Kale talk about it all the time.
Oh, dude, I've had more this year than any year, and it's because I haven't put big stretch goals out. I've been trying to finish last year's goal that I didn't hit, which was finishing the book, which is finally ready to send off to editing, and then getting organized and doing these things. But like, man, I was setting much bigger goals, and I was finding way less ruts last year and the year before and the year before that. So I do see I now have lived a smaller goal setting year this first half of the year, and I'm like, wow,
and
there really is. And I've thought about it several times. I'm like, wow, there really is a big difference, right?
It's depressing, and it's almost like I think you know what you're capable of doing at your full ability of Kale, right? You've seen what Kale operating at 100% looks like, whether that's through 75 hard and you have all this intent throughout the day, things are mapped out maybe a little bit better. You realize how much you can accomplish in a day, and that your excuses are really just bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And then when you just kind of show up and you have some good goals or whatever, but you're really not pushing yourself, it's not pushing you as an individual type goal, it's easy to get depressed.
Right.
And I've realized anytime that I get down on myself, I think I just know deep down I'm capable of more. And that doesn't necessarily mean finances or business. It could be outside of your business. Something that's scary. Again, if you're not a runner, go sign up for a marathon that's happening in 4 months or 5 months. Watch your daily habits change.
Right.
Everything that you do, that thought of running that marathon will be in the back of your mind. Your habits will get better every single day. The day that you just want to stay in bed and you normally would stay in bed, you would get out of bed and go for that 5-mile run or that 10-mile run. It's forcing you to live with more intent. If you do not set big, scary, monstrous goals, it's not going to force you to live outside of who you are today. If you set goals with inside of who you are today, you're going to end up falling down a path of being a little bit depressed and wondering, well, is this all life is? Life is about really exploring your capabilities, right? And so I felt a dip, in motivation or drive this year. And so just a week ago, 9 days ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to do 37 miles on my 37th birthday. And I had about 40 days till my 37th birthday. One, that's scary because the most I've ever ran, remember we did the Dogtown 9K?
Yeah.
That's like 5.6 miles. That's the furthest I've ever ran before.
Yeah.
Just in one go.
Right.
And so most people would probably set a goal of, maybe I'll do 10 miles. The most I've ever done is 5 or 5.6.
Right.
That's way outside of what I've ever done previous. But 10 miles wouldn't really scare me. 10 miles wouldn't make me have a lot more intent every single day. I'm thinking about it all the time. Even if I'm exhausted, my legs are hurting and my feet are sore, and I take one day off, which I did on Friday. I did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, gave 1 day break so that I could have a big 12-mile day on Saturday. But that's all I could think about on Friday as I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, I could probably go get a couple miles in. It's changing the way that I think.
Right.
It's changing the type of intent that I have on a day-to-day basis. And so what you guys need to understand is accomplishing some big, crazy goal, that's awesome. But what it does for you on a day-to-day basis, that's what's the most important thing. It forces you to stretch yourself, right? Somebody, I did an Instagram story because remember Jesus that came by and detailed the cars or whatever.
Sure.
I think Diz bought a couple gift cards and gave it to us for Christmas one year or whatever.
Yeah.
So I ran into him at Jamba Juice after 8 miles or something the other day. And he was with a gal, and this gal said, hey, what do you think about 75 hard? I said, it's great. You should do it. And she goes, well, what if something comes up? And I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is exactly what fucking everybody does when they set goals.
Yeah.
They set a goal. Well, what if so again, they're setting goals that they for sure know that they could accomplish provided they have a little bit more intent. But if there's a but or an if, what if, or but what if I go out of town? And I said, that is the hardest. when you go out of town. You're going to have to get up at 4 a.m. if your flight leaves at 7, right? And get an outdoor workout in, fly wherever you're going and get a hotel workout. I said, you'll figure out a way to make it work once you commit.
Yeah.
Just commit and you'll figure out the path later.
Yeah.
It starts with a big commitment.
Yeah. No half-ass commitments.
No half-ass commitments. Like, I am going to do X, whatever X is.
Right.
I am going to hire 3 more people in my organization. I am going to remove myself from my organization within the next 6 months, or I'm going to add another team, or I'm going to add more salespeople, or I'm going to really double down on marketing. Are you really going to double down on marketing, or are you going to dabble with it and realize, oh, this is difficult. I've spent $2 or $3 grand and it's not really working. That's not a commitment to then back away from it.
Right.
A commitment is if you're 10, 20, 30 grand deep into it, but you're still going because you've already got a lot of things that don't work out of the way.
You're so committed to figuring out that ad, that marketing funnel, whatever it is, that there isn't an amount of money that's like the stopping point. It's just like, how much can I continuously put into it until I get there, right?
Exactly.
And it's like that with anything. You know, you have to be fully 100% committed to it.
And then figure it out later.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to figure out your own marketing, commit fucking right now that I'm going to figure out my own marketing.
Right.
And then at that point, once you commit to that, start again. Now the intention's out in the world. Right. Now every single day you're like, man, I said I was going to figure out marketing. I need to reach out to that one person. Or I need to set up my Facebook ads account and start just running and start messing with some things. Set a fucking end date to it.
Right.
If I just said I was going to do 37 miles at one point, I would not have done 12 miles on Saturday.
Yeah.
But due to the fact that I have an end date to it, it's making me nervous and scared. And that nervousness and scared wants to make sure that I'm prepared enough to actually accomplish what I set out to do. Okay. And again, the only reason why I want to do something like this is because I really want a fucking challenge. I want to go against my mind.
Right.
Again, 75 hard, I loved it. But am I going to do 75 hard over and over and over for the rest of my life? I want to have different experiences, right? Whether it's trying to fly a plane. Everything that I've committed to that was big and scary was after I did 75 hard. So if you haven't done that, I would say that that's a good place to start, because if you haven't done it, you hear about it, or you don't know what it is, or you read up on it and you're like, holy shit, I'm not going to fucking do that. That's exactly why you should do that.
Yeah.
Because
it's continuing to stretch
it's that
yourself.
Scary.
Right.
You look at it and you're like, fuck, I can't do that for 75 days. No, you today can't.
Right.
But by the time you get halfway through and you pop out the other side, you're a completely different individual. You're evolving as you go. The idea is commit to it, get a week in, 10 days in, 2 weeks in, and then you're going to say to yourself, I'm not going to fucking fail.
Yeah.
You'll watch your mind start shifting once you're a week or two into the process. And the reason why it's so important to bite off large commitments, even physical commitments, like a 75 hard, or, biking 150 miles, or running 37 miles, or walking 37 miles, or whatever it is, whatever the big commitment is because you will meet your mind throughout the process of training to try to get to that point. And when your mind's telling you no, to stop and pull back, but you know for a fact that you have an end date and you push through that, what's going to happen when you lose your job? You lose an investment. Your business goes under. Fucking COVID happens. All of these curveballs, these things will happen to 100% of people if you live life to the fullest, right? There's going to be bad things that happen. But what are you doing to prepare yourself for when something bad does happen?
Right. You're way more well equipped if you're a person that continuously stretches yourself to handle those type of obstacles when they do arrive. And they're bumps in the road. But if you are stretching yourself and you are assigning timelines and you are assigning, end dates to these things, like, it's like that old saying, shoot for the moon and land in the stars.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, sometimes if you set a massive, scary goal, you don't hit it 100%, but you're way better off. And now you can set an even bigger goal. If you're like doing $2 million in your business right now, you're like, I'm going to go to 20 this next year. It's like, holy shit. Like,
what the fuck would you have to do to
but if
do
you're
to
so
20?
committed to that and you end at 17 million, you know what I mean? Like,
or even
are you better off?
Or even 10 million. Right. You went from 2 to 10.
But
right?
when you do lose some momentum because of a huge hiccup or a curveball like you talked about, and you are a person that continuously pushes yourself by massive goals, it's just a small hiccup that's not going to stop you. You're going to get back on your feet a little bit easier than that person that hits a hiccup or a bump in the road that isn't the type of person that continuously pushes themselves.
I think it's the difference between a molehill versus a mountain.
Yeah.
And that's all perspective.
Yeah.
If Kel was out there running 10 miles every single day over the last month and I'm not doing shit but going home sitting on my fucking ass, eating potato chips, drinking Pepsis, which would be awesome, and then an issue arises in my life and in Kel's life, I guarantee Kel would be far more equipped to handle it and move on and have it just be a molehill versus my ass that's been sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, drinking soda, something happens and it's just like, you know what, screw it. Life, and it's just not cut out for me. It's not in the cards or, right. I would end up making an excuse easier just to fold and walk away and even feel good about folding and walking away because I gave it everything I had, which isn't the truth because I sat my ass on the couch, ate potato chips. Again, putting things in my body that ultimately make my mind weaker because I'm listening to my mind when it's saying get comfortable, go sit on the couch, have those chips, have that. 100% of people want to do that, but not 100% of people actually do that. Right. And that's the difference maker. There will be so many difficult situations over a decade in business. There's going to be difficult situations in your life in general. We can't control whether, somebody passes away or whether COVID hits and it's a challenge to our business. But if you're used to challenging yourself on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis, you're going to view it just as another challenge, another opportunity for you to overcome some obstacle. Now, if somebody's never overcome an obstacle that was self-imposed, like running a marathon or whatever it is, and they've never really pushed themselves in any form of their life, and there's an issue, that individual is so used to taking it easy that there's no way that they're going to tackle that thing that they probably could tackle if they had been disciplining themselves the entire time. Right. So I think it's important financially to even discipline yourself physically so that you can harden the fucking mind. It all starts and ends with the mind. Yeah. If an individual believes that they can do something, they're far more likely to be able to do it. Now, if an individual has set massive goals, like Kel was saying, and accomplished those goals or got close to it, you're still going to have far more confidence and belief in yourself when you set that next goal.
You're still way better off and you're more prepared.
Far more prepared.
You're just prepared because really if I'm setting massive health goals and something does happen in business, I'm still more prepared to handle that hiccup or that mountain in business, the molehill or whatever you called it.
Yeah. Well,
than somebody that's not pushing himself in his health department either, right? Or even, dude, bottom line is they go hand in hand, and somebody that is pushing themselves is always going to be more prepared.
The idea is just doing something the you of last year wouldn't do. Yep. And the thing that fucking irks me is that a lot of people think that their best years are behind them. That's because back in the day, you gave it your best. You're not giving it your best anymore.
It's your old
Just
best.
be fucking honest with yourself. You're not doing everything that you can to be the best you possible. That's just a fucking fact. And guess what? I had to come to that realization about fucking 8-9 days ago. Yeah. When I said, you know what? When is the last time I wake up every single morning at 5:30, hit the gym at 6. That used to be very difficult, and it still is hard to get out of bed. But it's not as hard as it was 6 months ago when I committed to consistency this year. Right. That was like my word. Was like, whatever I say I'm going to do, I just want to be consistent with it. Right. Because I think we all get to a point where we want to get in shape and we give it a good 3, 4, 5 month run. We get in somewhat shape. We start giving ourselves credit. We look good. We feel good. And we pull off the gas on the things that got us to looking good and feeling good. So my thing is like, I just want to wake up at the same time every day, and I want consistency because I know that is difficult no matter what it is. If you want to be consistent at watching the fucking television show at the same time every night, even that would be difficult because there's going to be things that happen. I'm not saying that's a goal anybody should fucking set, sitting down and watching a fucking show every night, but it still would be difficult to do in 365 days out of the year because there's so many unforeseen things that can happen, and you would actually have to have intent to be fucking lazy which is weird that you'd have to have intent to be lazy. But in this situation or example, you would have to be, right?
Yeah.
And so I made a goal of consistency. Right. So I've done that, but it starts to feel monotonous.
Right.
It's like, okay, but am I really pushing myself? Because that used to be hard, but now I'm 6 months into the year, and when I go to bed tonight, I'm not questioning whether I'm waking up in the morning and going to the gym at a certain time. So it's no longer that difficult. My brain is, even though it's difficult to get out of bed, but when I wake up, I don't question it as much. I'm like, oh, it's time to get up, And so that's what I'm talking about when I said setting a goal that was uncomfortable at one point,
right,
and then now it's normal, to continue to set goals that continue to make you get uncomfortable. And so I was like, I'm fucking getting weaker and fucking softer because now I'm just doing the same thing that I already know that I can continue to do. And like, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis fucking thing, dude. This is about the time where people buy the drop top convertibles and shit, like around 37, 38. I think that might be a real fucking thing because my mind's messing with me right now.
Mid 40s, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, my mind's messing with me right now. I'm like, I gotta fucking start doing cool ass shit. Even though trying to get a pilot's license, that's all cool and stuff. But I want to physically fucking challenge myself. I want to meet my mind head on in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I want it to fucking tell me to quit and give up, and I want to tell it to shut the fuck up and let it know who's in control. So that's exactly why I said, you know what, consistency is important. And then the other week, I'm like, everybody on their birthday gets fucking softer. They go fucking drink. They go fucking party. They eat cake and ice cream. That's the first day of the next year. Why don't you try to do something that maybe the younger version of you didn't do or wouldn't do? Right. And so as I started thinking about it, I don't know, again, it's just an age thing. As if you're young, you'll hit this point in your 30s where you really start questioning life and things. Am I challenging myself? Am I pushing myself? Is it all about money? No, it's not all about money. I also need to be pushing myself physically and mentally.
Right.
And that's how you become the best version of yourself. And if you do all of those things right, and I was telling Bob this morning, I'm like, look, bro, if somebody had a goal of losing 50 pounds, they shouldn't even set a goal of losing 50 pounds. They should set a goal of running fucking 10 miles because if they accomplish that goal, by default, they'll probably lose that 50 pounds that they want to lose.
Right.
Set something that's scary, that's so far outside of yourself, of who you are today. 37 miles, the furthest I've ran is 5.6 with you.
Yeah.
So that is what? 7 times greater than the distance that I've ever gone before?
Right.
And so that's what I'm talking about, doing something that's big and scary, that's creating more intent in your day-to-day life. And I think more people need to be questioning, when's the last time I truly challenged myself?
Yeah.
And if you're at a low moment right now, there was a homie in Apex. He's like, man, I'm just really low right now. And I asked him that question. I said, when's the last time you really fucking challenged yourself? I'm like, dude, you're in decent shape and shit, but you make millions of dollars. You've got some of the business shit figured out. You're in decent shape, but really, when's the last time you challenged yourself? Or are you just kind of taking it easy now that you're in decent shape and you make a fucking lot of money? And he sat back and thought about it. And I could tell it hit him because he hasn't been challenging himself. And with the way that he is, there's a competitive spirit in him, or else he wouldn't be making millions and he wouldn't be in the shape that he's in. His competitive spirit is dying out. And he's starting to feel depressed and hit a low point. And
which is why you pay to be in those groups.
This is why you pay to be in those groups.
Because you don't know going into it.
But you don't know.
You really do reach these points in your life where you're giving yourself permission to take the foot off the gas instead of giving yourself permission to fucking double down, right? And it's because you're unaware of things. And sometimes you are unaware of things and you have to sit with things and you have to search for that awareness before you're like, fuck, dude, I'm not pushing myself, which is obviously what you did when you're like, I'm going to take on a bigger challenge, right? And you had to tap out of like, hey, this routine of mine that's hard isn't as hard anymore. You had to come to that realization.
Yeah.
You had to become aware of that in order for you to be like,
I didn't get the confidence and self-worth anymore out of doing that hard thing because it's no longer that hard for me. Right.
Yep. So you hit those points, man, and a lot of times people get to that point and they're like, you know what, I do this hard shit, and like you said, I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm crushing these goals on my business, and and you start giving yourself those little permissions the wrong way. The wrong way permissions.
Permissions to
So
slip.
you can give yourself permission to fucking dig deeper, set bigger goals, stretch.
I mean,
It's more fulfilling anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. Like if you're not following David Goggins or some of these ultra marathon people, that Chad Wright that I was telling you about, to me, I just look at him and I feel like a piece of shit looking at him because I'm like, he's a human being and he's so far beyond, in a physical aspect, anything that I am. And this individual, David Goggins or whatever, the reason why he has all the money that he has now is because he's actually just disciplined himself in massive physical feats.
Right.
So if you're disciplining yourself in a physical way, it's you hold that discipline. That's not going anywhere. So when you point that discipline at business, or in his case, writing a fucking book, Can't Hurt Me, that ended up selling 1 million+ copies that he self-published. Yeah. So I mean, that book probably made him $5-10 million,
Sold
right? But again, it all started with a physical feat. And so I look at these people and to me, I'm like, he's human, I'm human. All he's done is had the discipline to set goals that are so far outside of the normal that everybody looks at it as like it's crazy. Mm-hmm. To him, that's normal. He gets up and runs 20 miles or 30 miles when that's a goal that I'm setting for myself. Like that would be an accomplishment to me, right? And that doesn't make me feel good knowing that there's another human being out there just running fucking complete circles around me. And so it's just, I just felt it was time to do something that's big and scary that's really gonna force me to go against myself. Right. I don't really have to go against myself to do fucking 4 sets of 10 on bench press. Right. You just set that and you just do it, right? Yeah. That's not big and that's not scary. And so I would challenge all of you guys that are listening to this episode to do something. Again, if it's writing a book, if you told yourself at one point that you would never write a book, but you actually have a halfway decent story, or you are somewhat disciplined, or you've got something cool going on that you could document, like, do that. Yeah. Write a fucking book. That's hard. Completely, it is.
It's harder than I thought it was going to be. So.
Well, dude, 37 miles, dude. I was like, it's just 37.
But dude, I'm becoming a much better writer.
And I'm becoming a better fucking runner. And I fucking hate running. And you know,
and I hated writing,
and
honestly.
You hated writing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, what's happening is we're turning what used to be very difficult situations for us into what is now normal. Mm-hmm. And you end up maybe starting to enjoy what you used to hate.
My next step is I want to hire a copywriting coach. Because I'm like, dude, I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm seeing the value in it. Just in writing posts on my personal shit. Yeah. Draws like, dude, I get people hitting me on DMs all the time asking me for like, are you guys coaching yet? Or from my personal shit, because I'm just putting content out, practicing getting better at writing, knowing that I'm doing it just to get better at writing my book so I can get it finished. Then I kind of fell in love with it, you know? And then I'm like, dude, I'm going to hire a copywriting coach. What's the next level that I could actually hit? Maybe I write more books, you know? Maybe I turn into almost a full-time writer, writing ads, writing, shit for our company, writing more books, writing, biography one day. Who knows? Like, it's going to take you to different levels in your business and in your life. And I'm actually finding fulfillment in it, right?
Exactly.
So, and it's like, man,
how long did you talk about writing a book? I mean, we were told that years ago, and then you just started it last year, right?
Yeah, it's been a little over a year, and I've started over. I've been insecure. I've caught myself, fearing criticism of others, which is super strong in all of us, but we don't realize it till we start going through a process like that. But my goal is to get it finished. My goal is to be a #1 selling author. My goal is to write more books and do more writing. So, like, I can't put my name on it. I could put a book out last year, but I just didn't feel like it was my best. So I'm pushing myself to really make it my best. I really want it to be impactful.
You didn't want to just half-ass the book.
And some people are even telling me, like, some of our coaches and mentors, like, dude, like, trust me, like 90% of the people buy your book are going to read it anyway, but it's going to help, put you in a position of authority. So just get it done and get it in the marketplace. But I couldn't do that because it means something to me to put like a really
your name on it,
really quality effort into that.
Exactly.
So that's where I've been pushing myself on that. But dude, it is challenging. You know, so,
Well, I mean, it's.
but I never really I did put a timeline on it. When I didn't hit it, I didn't put another timeline on it. And
So now
I
it's
started
just,
buying into different excuses
yeah.
if I'll get back to it. And
Yep.
like, I will finish it. But right now, those stupid excuses are what prolonged it, you know? And so.
Let's just put it this way. If you were a kid in school that waited like the last fucking week or the last day to do that essay,
Yeah.
you're a person that needs a fucking timeline. You need an end date. Because guess
all
what?
do.
I was that guy that would cram shit the day before. I didn't.
Me too.
Dude, there was one time that I was like, dude, you know what? I'm going to give this shit a shot. I'm going to give it 100% and I'm going to fucking study.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I'm smart. I fucking scored worse on the test giving it honest effort, dude. And I was like, and that's when I gave up. And I was like, you know what?
School's not for me.
School's not for me, dude.
What about when your coach says, "Hey, you ain't playing unless your grades are this," and you know you got to hit all this shit to get over?
I was smoking weed
coach
by
gave
then.
you a deadline.
I was smoking weed by then, so I was like, I didn't give a shit.
remember my
I gave
coach-
up on sports.
I remember my coach being like, "Dude, you can't wrestle if you don't get these Fs up to at least Cs." And then I waited till the last minute, and I didn't get to wrestle one of my tournaments.
If there was a stoner coach or something, it's like, dude, you can't smoke unless you get a B. Your boy would be getting B's, bro, back in the day, dude. You know, but guys, the thing is again, this really all comes down to becoming more self-aware. Are you challenging yourself or are you not? Are you just doing the same thing over and over every day? And because it's maybe more than what the average person does, you're still taking credit for, again, maybe outperforming the people that you're comparing yourself to versus comparing yourself to what the potential really truly is and what you could accomplish provided you set much bigger and greater goals.
Yeah.
And I was telling people that I was like, look, your intent changes. Flat out, it changes. I said, I would have not gone to the fucking gym in a million years and ever done 12 miles. Ever. Because I hadn't. And I've worked out for a long time. I've never done that until I created a goal that was so fucking big and scary that forced me to do that. And I hate running, but I'm actually starting to enjoy it a little bit because when my feet start getting hurt and they get sore, even when I'm done running and I go home and I'm walking around, it still feels fucking cool because it's a reminder every step that I fucking did something difficult that day. And so it's like I'm trying to reshift the way that I think about the pain in terms of using that as an empowering moment. Well, again, not an inconvenience to me.
That's another good point, though, because when I was divorced and single, I started running. I hated running, too. And I got up to where I was doing 5 miles a day. And it was easy. And I started liking it.
Yeah, getting that runner's high or whatever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, really, I mean, a lot of people, and we all have done this, okay? I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. We sometimes just accept feat by saying, well, I don't like running, so why would I do that? But you don't know because you've never really pushed yourself to the point of it being hard and done it consistently long enough to where you could fall in love with that process. Yeah. With anything, writing, speaking, running, lifting, whatever it is. And so we really do, as humans, just buy into these ideas of like,
self-limiting
I don't
beliefs.
like do that. So I don't like doing that.
That's
so
not me.
I'm not a runner.
That's not me.
Yeah. But you don't know till you actually fucking do it and you push yourself, because I fell in love with running when I hated it. I have fallen in love with riding when I hated it. Yeah. And you're falling in love with getting out on those streets and pounding the pavement when you didn't think you would before.
I think that's the biggest issue. If somebody says, well, that's not me, that's not who I am, I don't like, well, yeah, the version of who you are today, that isn't you.
Yeah.
That's the whole fucking point of challenging yourself, is to become something different than who you are today.
Yeah.
Creating new habits, evolve into something more than who you are. If that's not you, I'm not a runner.
Right.
Guess what? Neither am I, or neither was I, based upon what? My habits. I didn't have habits of a runner, therefore I wasn't a runner. Yep. In the last week, I've ran, it was the last 8 days, I've done 38.4 miles. So my habits have changed based upon the goal that I have set. Yep. So the idea is to set something up for yourself where you know for a fact that you're going to be a better individual, whether it is writing a book, whether it is starting a podcast, whether it is stepping away from day-to-day operations and putting somebody else in your business so you can start focusing on growth again. Whether it is, running, whether it is waking up every single day for 1 month, 30 days. It doesn't have to be for the whole rest of the year.
Yeah.
Again, set a fucking goal and start there. It could be, again, my goal was do 37 miles in the next 40 days when it was my birthday. That's not a long-term goal. That's a short, but again, my habits are going to change inside that time frame because of the goal that I've set for myself. The only reason why you're not outside of your business and you're still working in the business is because you haven't given it the opportunity yet. The only reason why you're not a runner is because you haven't given yourself the opportunity to become one. The only reason why you're not a writer is because you haven't started writing yet. You haven't given yourself the opportunity to become a writer.
You really just haven't opened your mind to it, man. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it all comes up to just like you were never really open to be like 37 miles. You were never really open to.
If somebody told me that, I would have told them to fuck
writing
off.
a book. Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
flat out. I would have told them like, "There's no way. You're an idiot. I'm not a runner."
Yeah,
and that's exactly why you should do it.
The correlation is like once you become aware of like you're not pushing yourself, you do need to step it up in some area. Is opening your mind to something new that you want to challenge yourself in. So open your damn minds.
The idea is we should fucking charge for this episode. Can we charge for this one? Because I think this is fucking good. Is it still 20 minutes as we plan going in? Where are we at?
We're over it.
Well, it's 40 minutes. I was talking about 20 minutes of me talking and 20 minutes of Kale talking, so that's 40 minutes. So we hit our mark, guys. We came into this one going to be a quick one, just like all our other ones that turn 40, 50 minutes in. But do you have any wrapping up thoughts,
Yeah,
Kale?
man. I mean, honestly, there is a pattern, right? And we've hit on all of them, but I'd say that the pattern is like,
don't label yourself as something that you're not when you haven't given an honest effort.
Well, that definitely. I mean, that's gangster. But I mean, there's definitely stretching. People really aren't stretching themselves and they know when they are or they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know this year I haven't put stretch goals out there, and I've felt it.
Yeah.
So now I've lived the last few years seeing a lot of massive gains, and then this year not, and I know how that feels, and it feels depressing. So really, I mean, give yourself permission to really stretch yourself. Invest that into yourself, open your mind a little bit, and so I think that's kind of the patterns that we hit on is you really do need to become a person of like awareness and openness and then you need to execute.
Yeah. When you're at a low point, ask yourself questions.
Yeah.
Like why I'm at a low point. What was I doing before when I wasn't at a low point? Was I challenging myself? Was there something that forced me to have my focus on this thing that I was doing? And then now you did that thing and that your mind has time to wander. And then again, when your mind has time to wander, sometimes it turns on itself and then beats yourself up and you can get depressed because again, you're not turning that focus external or outward. And again, maybe it's inward with meditation or there's people say, I got ADD. I can't meditate.
Right.
Well, yeah, fuck. Sign me up for that excuse too, because that's what I did for a period of time. But over the last 2.5 months, I've been very consistent. Kel walked up we had an 8:30 meeting with our sales reps, and I couldn't get home because I went to the gym a little bit later than normal because my wife worked a night shift last night. Right. So I get to the office and I'm in the fucking truck when you pulled up meditating.
Yeah, I interrupted.
Right? Again, consistency was my word this year. Yeah. I wanted to be consistent in all fronts of the things that I said I'm going to do.
I remember one of our videos a year or two ago when we first started. Consistency was my word because it's what I struggle with the most, right? And here I am, very practiced in what you just talked about of playing with all those thoughts of like, am I really pushing myself? And, what am I really capable of? Like, what feels different this year than last year? And, holy shit, I really sat down and detailed out my goals and I had deadlines and I had stretch goals and I had all those things. And I know it and I'm aware of it, right? But I wasn't doing anything about it either. I was still letting things get in the way from actually just doing it. And it's not too late. Just because it's not January 1 doesn't mean you can't set goals for the last half of the year, right? Which is what I'm doing. That's why I hired a trainer the other week or the other month. I was like, dude, I'm not doing anything to actually get out of this. And so I'm like, okay, you are going to call a trainer by the end of today. And I just did it, man. I was just like, instead of me like trying to find the perfect trainer, I just called the one I knew everybody was using, which is a guy that's pretty, yoked and winning fitness shows. And so I'm like, I can't go wrong with just getting going, right? And so I set a timeline that day, and I'm already seeing the gains of that. But I do need to sit down and be more structured because I have felt the difference now. I'm very practiced in this year of not doing the things that we talked about today. So I know I'm living it. I know the benefits of the side of doing it and the side of not doing it. Right? I can still get shit done. I'm still been writing in my book. I've still been doing these things that I wanted to wrap up, but I didn't have like stretch goals with timelines that I was ultra committed to. So I think that's the other thing that maybe I wanted to talk about as we wrap up is like really fucking be committed to it.
I would say also speak it.
Yeah.
Speak it so you look fucking dumb if you don't do it.
Oh,
That's the first thing that I did this year when I had the thought of 37 miles on my 37th birthday. Because I had this thought last year.
Right.
I was like, what if I did 36 miles on my 36th? And it literally came and went.
Right.
And then I remember sitting there on my 36th birthday feeling fucking shitty. I was like, man, I had that thought, but I'm not really, I didn't do anything with it.
Right.
So this year, I'm like, well, my birthday's coming up. What am I going to do? And so I went and spoke it. Yeah. And I had motherfuckers laugh at me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That's the chip on my shoulder so that I could say, fuck you when I'm done. But I went to people and said, this is what I'm going to do. So once I spoke that to other people, I'm my own accountability piece. Yeah. But I need to speak it to other people so that I don't look fucking dumb to other people that I said I'm going to do something and then I don't honor it or follow through. I think sometimes we set, man, I would really like to run a marathon. No, go fucking tell people right now that I'm going to run this marathon that's 4 months down or 5 months because they're going to say, hey, how's the training going? How's it? That they'll remind you of it. Yeah. But at the same time, because you spoke it into existence, you're going to have a little bit more accountability with yourself because you told other people about what you are going to do, and you're going to look fucking dumb if you don't accomplish it.
Dude, when I was telling my family,
into existence.
When I was telling my family I was writing a book, my daughter comes home one day when I'm, keep restarting with the book and just kind of being insecure about things. My daughter comes home, she's like, oh, I told my teacher today in parent-teacher conference that you're writing a book. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't been writing in my book for a week or two. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. Like it would just like, for some reason was like, man, my kids are looking at me like dad's doing this. Yeah. It's like, and that gave me it gave me that extra commitment of like, holy cow, man, like my kids are even looking at me. And I don't want to ever have my kids look at me as somebody that doesn't finish the things that I say I'm going to start.
Exactly.
The things I say I'm going to do.
That's powerful.
It is powerful.
It's powerful.
So there's a lot of power
on Saturday,
in
I didn't want to be at the gym for 3 hours and 33 minutes because I had already worked out early in the morning.
Yeah.
But again, I spoke it. And if I didn't speak it to anybody, I would have been probably a billion times more likely to sit my fucking big ass on the couch that day and just fucking chilled out and just cruise through a Saturday because I had already got up and exercised. So that was my win for the day. I would have gave myself credit for not being a lazy fucker because I still got out of bed and worked out, but then I could have been lazy all day and still felt fine about myself because I got up, which is more than what some people do on Saturday mornings, right? And so because I spoke it, and it didn't just stay a thought, because if it just stays a thought, people are more often to let themselves down than they let somebody else down. If I tell Kel I'm going to be somewhere tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and we're going to hit 15 miles, I guarantee I'm 10 times more likely to be there at 10 o'clock because I know Kel's going to know that I said I was going to be there at 10 and I do not want to let him down. Right. Now, if I had the thought myself, I'm at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go do this thing and I'm going to run 15 miles. I'm a million times more likely just to not show up at that 10 o'clock time because I have nobody else to disappoint, nobody else to call out. There's no accountability piece, and I can sell myself a bunk-ass excuse to talk myself out of it and still feel good about myself. Yeah. And so the idea is speak some of this shit into existence. It's going to, again, force change in terms of what your habits are going to be. When you would want to take it easy, you might turn it up and fucking step on the gas instead.
Sign up for it, speak it. Like you signed up for it. You're like, dude, I'm going to do this by my birthday. You started speaking it. You want to go run a marathon? Sign up for it. And then start telling everybody, I'm running a marathon. I already signed up for it.
Some people...
You'll find yourself doing the damn work to do it.
Yeah, some people are going to tinker with running to determine whether or not they think that they can do it before they
Maybe
sign up.
I'll do a marathon.
No,
I'm going to
fucking
start
sign
running
up.
a little bit to see if I like it.
If you're not even a
gonna
runner,
like it.
sign up. Yeah, sign up.
You're not going to like it till you like it.
Yeah, watch what happens. Shit's going to change real quick. That potato chips and Pepsi going to be in the fucking cabinet.
Shit.
Your ass is going to be pounding the pavement.
That's right. I needed
that's
this
what it's
episode
about.
just as much as anybody, so that's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. Fucking A. So, guys, again, make sure you're supporting us on all the pages. Please, 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 if you have iTunes and that's what you're listening to on, drop a review. You know, we're stuck around roughly about 450 or so. Those reviews, I think, are the things that determine where we're at in the rankings of, you know, podcasts. So we're doing all right, but 450 out of 5, 6, 7,000 listeners that listen to the podcast, I mean, that's not even 10%. So we can bump that up a little bit. Don't be an asshole. You know, we're doing our best to give you time, effort, energy to make sure that you have the information you need to make progress in life. Please just return the favor. It's the law of reciprocity that we've talked about before. We're giving, you know, give back in return.
Yeah,
again,
we seriously
2
appreciate
minutes.
it.
Yeah, we do
Means the world
appreciate
to
it.
us.
It does. And so, again, take the time, drop a review, share with somebody that you care about. Make sure you're supporting us on the platforms that we're on: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Any of those that are your favorite? Cool. We're not saying on all of them, but any of those, show support, double tap that ass, give it a like, drop a comment. It's crazy that I see people in public, they're like, man, I really like your shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never seen you fucking comment on shit.
Yeah.
I've never seen your name in the DMs, and like nothing. Like, how do I not know you if our shit's so fucking life-changing? I haven't seen your review. Where's it at? You know, like, support the people that are supporting you is really what it comes down to. So other than that, guys, go fucking challenge yourself. Have a kick-ass day.